All right, here we go. Cranes 6 through 10. Yeah, why not? It's already in front of me. What shall we discuss? So, okay, something to discuss. So, Beauty and the Beast came out 2 weeks ago. Something like that. The live-action remake. Emma Watson as Belle. And I hated it. I did. They kept pitching it as a remake of the animated film from the 90s. Okay, cool. But there was a very long-lasting Broadway show which was perfect. I did a version of it at one point. I was Gaston. I was very young. It was very fun. That was actually the first Broadway show I ever saw. And I saw it like 4 times throughout its, run on Broadway. There was a bunch of songs added to the Broadway show, which makes sense because every time something's adapted to Broadway, you have to add some things to make the plot continuous and flow for a stage kind of a thing. So it made sense. My favorite song from the Broadway show is called "Home." Belle sings it in the tower when she trades places with Maurice, the tower dungeon. She's singing "Is This Home?" I really don't want to sing right now, but it's a great song. So there's another big song in it called "Human Again," which all the objects sing, "We'll be human again," stuff like that. And I want to say the early 2000s, Disney re-released the animated film and animated the version and did an animated version of "Human Again" for the re-release. So at that point, that was the third iteration of the film, of the original film, right? And the second animated version was great because "Human Again" is a great song. It's a great musical number, great animation. It was really well done. So then when they announced that they were going to redo the movie again into a live action remake this time, it was very exciting. Emma Watson as Belle. It was going to be really cool because we all know her from the Harry Potter franchise. She's a great actress. We've seen her grow, so of course it makes sense to have a strong female in real life play a strong female Disney character. So of course I was freaking out when all the trailers came out, and it was really nostalgic, bringing back all the memories, watching the cartoon, being in the show, watching the show on Broadway a billion times, watching the show at various theaters across Long Island a billion times. The musical holds a dear spot in my heart. So I went to see it the Thursday release with my mother, and I was not happy with it. It was very poorly executed. Now, I'm speaking from a cinematic standpoint, a directorial standpoint, a costuming standpoint, a music director's standpoint. There was so many pauses in the songs and the dialogue for dramatic effect. It made no sense. The costuming aspect was cool, but in the whole opening song scene, everyone's singing "Bonjour, Bonjour." But what made the animated film really cool is that Belle was the only one wearing blue, so she stood out. But in this one, a lot of people were wearing blue, so Belle just gets lost in the crowd. I know it's a minute detail, but still, it takes away. The Broadway show had the same thing. Belle was the only one in blue, so it was strange. And then for "Be Our Guest," the big musical number, "Be Our Guest," all the objects are singing in the dining room. There was dramatic pausing in the song. Why the hell is Mrs. Potts singing I'll get warm, piping hot. Heaven sakes, is that a spot, right? That's how it goes. Boom, 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 boom. But in this version, there was a dramatic pause in between. So she goes, I'll get warm, piping hot. Then there's like this animated thing for like 4 seconds. And then she goes to Chip, heaven sakes, is that a spot? Why? It lost the magic. Then they added this book that can take you anywhere. And they gave backstory to the Beast and Belle, and it was very it was strange. So I didn't quite understand what was happening, what was going on, why it was going on. But it just kept going on, and it was weird, that with this book it just kept going for like to bring more plot into it, and there was no point of that extra plot. 30 minutes of that movie didn't have to be in there, and I was not taking it. I was not having it. So the big thing I didn't like the most, aside from the entire film, was the objects were really creepy and like not fun. They were terrifying. Like the cartoon and the show, that whimsical, magical, that sense of magic was lost because it was just really creepy with all the objects the way they were. It was strange. And the thing that, that really pissed me off, like I mentioned before with Home is an amazing song. And they had added 5 songs to this movie, which were completely irrelevant, did not have to be there, because there's already an amazing Broadway score with songs that make sense to the plot, right? But they used Home, the song from the Broadway version, as musical interlude for maybe 20 seconds, going from Belle in the Tower to Belle in her room. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? The only reason they added those songs, those 5 new songs, was to be nominated for an Oscar next year. And it's not going to win, because the songs were not good. It's just very unfortunate, because now I'm terrified with how Mulan is going to turn out. Because Mulan is another one that is absolutely amazing. And that live action comes out next year. Even though they still haven't started filming yet, I'm very curious as to how this film is going to be put together in less than a year. Because it's a very large, film. So, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm very worried because of how Beauty and the Beast turned out. And it's interesting because so many people love this remake. So many people. I personally hated it. I was not a fan of Emma Watson as Belle. They really needed someone who had a powerhouse singing voice. They should have got someone in musical theater. I understand Emma Watson's a great actress. I get it. She has a name. I get it. But this is a remake. This is a Broadway musical. This is a Disney musical. You need someone who knows how to sing in order to do a proper musical. And they didn't have that. And I was very, very upset. I was really pissed off. I haven't done musical theater in centuries. But you grow up, I grew up being in certain shows, and I grew up watching so many movies and so many TV shows, and I inadvertently kept studying the differences within cinematography, within costume design, makeup design, if it's like a sci-fi kind of thing. And I assume it's one of my downfalls that I'm watching something, because I have to nitpick everything. Like, oh, that doesn't make sense with the plot, and oh, this doesn't make sense with the hair, for hair swooped one way in this shot and swooped the other way in the other shot, but it's still the same scene. It's it can be annoying. One of my all-time favorite films is Ron Howard's Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey, the 2000 version. Because of the cinematography, because of the set design, because of the makeup, because of what Jim did with that character. You know, it's such an amazing, I was going to say show, but it's not a show. It's such an amazing film because of how much artistic development went into that. And it shows, you know, it shows the level of craftsmanship that went into every little prop, that went into every little, you know, poof on the costumes, and how every extra had to have intense makeup to be a Who. Yeah, it's a creepy movie at times, but you know, it's Seuss. It's whimsical. It's supposed to be like that. I'm excited to see how this cartoon version is going to turn out. You know, when it does. When is that supposed to come out? Benedict Cumberbatch is supposed to be the Grinch. 2019, I think. 2 years maybe. I don't know, but it's going to be nice. I like that there's always going to be a new Grinch. You know, every decade or so. Because it's a timeless tale, so it's always going to be nice to see it. I don't know. I like stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't like Beauty and the Beast. Aladdin's going to be interesting whenever they remake that. What number am I up to right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. I just did 4, so this is my 5th. I don't know. I know. Second weekend of the row now, Beauty and the Beast has done phenomenal against Power Rangers, which just came out, which I'm not going to see in theaters. I'm not spending money to see that, because the original series, the original films, the toys are such a classic to me. And you know, when they made the announcement that they were going to remake it, I was very excited, specifically because of the toys. Because I know the toys are a big part of the franchise. But when I saw the toys, when they first released them, I was like, what is this? Like, what is this nonsense right now? These are not Zords. These are not... I was like, when I saw the Megazord toy for the first time on shelves, I literally could not believe in horror what I was looking at. It's like, what is this nonsense? It didn't make sense. It was too computer looking. Like, the best thing about Power Rangers is that you have this tiny Asian man in a heavy costume being a badass in martial arts in a Megazord costume. You know, that's how Godzilla is. That's how, you know, that's why Jim Henson's dinosaurs were amazing. There was a man in a gigantic puppet making his way through a soundstage. That's a sense of realism. You know, that's why Jim Henson's company, when they made the 90s Ninja Turtle movies, those were amazing films because it gave you that sense of realism, because it was real guys doing real martial arts in those really heavy electronic costumes with remote control mouths and eyes and tongues and everything. Give you that realism. With Power Rangers, Alpha 5 too. It was a tiny guy or girl, I don't even know, in the Alpha 5 costume. But Alpha 5 in this Power Rangers is CGI, and it loses that sense of whimsy. I don't know, I like that. I like that sense of whimsy. You know, it's fun. So, who knows? One of these days, maybe another film will do a guy or a girl in a giant costume kind of a thing. Give it that sense of realism. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I feel cold coming. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was Cranes 6 through 10 out of 1,000. It's gonna be fun.